If you are going through a separation or a divorce, here are 5 mistakes I made that might save you some pain. So just some context. 4 years ago, I was getting divorced after a 17-year marriage, and I was losing my job 3 years ago after 21 years, in my late 40s, father of 2 boys, one of whom is autistic, both teenagers. So obviously that comes with its own challenges. I had to rebuild everything from the ground up. I'm still doing that. So mistake 1 was isolating myself. I lost all of the joint family and friends that we had through the marriage, and I separated myself off from my own family and friends. I felt like I didn't want to burden anybody. I felt a real sense of worthlessness and failure. What I learned was just 1 or 2 people that you can trust can make a massive difference and can break that cycle of isolation, which at the end of the day won't do you any good whatsoever. There's a big difference between being alone and being lonely. And being lonely can be a dangerous thing. So reach out to 1 or 2 people that you trust. Just talk to them. Just break that cycle. So number 2 is not asking for support. It's very closely linked to the first one, but support outside of just friends. So I didn't seek therapy or support groups or anything initially. Then I found myself a therapist, and that was the first step to getting the support that really needed and made a huge difference going forward. When I moved through the therapy, I started looking for men's support groups. A lot of those were you were pointed at through doctors, etc., in a very, very limited capacity. And then just one day I found on the internet a group called Andy's Man Club. I've spoken about that before in a couple of videos. I'll put a link to that below those videos as well. I've been going to AMC now for over 2.5 years. Started to build some real bonds, some friendships there. And again, back to mistake number 1, it really breaks that isolation. And you've got other people there that are going through or have gone through very similar things. So you will meet people at groups who are at the very start of their journey, at a very similar place to yourself, or even through the other side of it. And it's wonderful to help those guys who are maybe where you were early on, but it's also encouraging to see people that have come through the other side of things, and maybe it's a glimpse of your own future when you work through the struggles that you've got. Number 3 was avoiding future planning. I've always been one for burying my head in the sand, not really paying attention, not really looking at things. And you can see early on in the separation, everything from planning, career-wise, financially, how I was an absolute mess. Now, I'm not saying you have to go away and produce yourself a 10-year plan, 5-year plan, anything like that. But what I would say is start small steps, really small steps, and those steps will build. Started off with, for the finance side of things, making myself a very basic budget. And now I'm into a couple of years down the line, I have a decent plan for clearing debts, etc. Wish I'd have thought about this early on, and maybe the money that I'd had then, I could have invested or put away and done something a bit more wisely with. But again, as with all these things, it's a bit of a learning curve. I know what sort of thing to do now and going forward. So small steps, don't make a grand plan. Just take 1 step at a time and build upon each thing. It makes a huge difference. Mistake number 4 was putting too much emotional weight on my kids. At the time, I didn't realise how much I leaned on them for emotional support. Again, going through the process of self-reflection, getting therapy, going to support groups, I realised I was putting too much support, too much weight on the kids, and that wasn't fair. I wasn't showing up as a parent, as a dad, as the dad that they needed at the time. But again, going back to the early mistakes there of reaching out and finding support, having that support network now means if I am struggling emotionally or there are things going on, I can talk to therapists, I can talk to other guys, not actually put that weight on my kids, and I can actually show up as a good dad. And I can actually model the behaviour that I think will set my kids out in good stead going forward. I want them, you know, to realise that at some point in the future they are going to struggle. There are going to be issues in their lives, but I want them to be able to look back and say, do you know what? Dad had strength to get through these things. I saw that. I've got that strength in me as well. And that's something which I think is huge for me. Just learning how to become more emotionally mature with things. Mistake number 5, a classic one, neglecting my own well-being. I've never really looked after myself, be that going to the gym, general eating, health and fitness, or even going to the doctors or the hospital when I needed it, when I had issues. I'm still not 100% going to the gym, but I've definitely started thinking about eating better. And again, small things, small habits, a little bit of morning yoga, little routines, stuff like that keeps you going. It starts build upon that. You start to feel a little bit better about yourself. Going for a walk of an evening and you feel better. So you think about your food, you eat better. Then you think about, oh, maybe I'll go to the gym, and that makes you feel better. So it's just this rolling effect that, again, starts with every little small change, small things. A bit of a theme there, isn't it? So bonus mistake. There are many bonus mistakes, but this was rushing into new relationships. Now, I haven't actually rushed into a relationship, but I do realise early on I started putting some emotional reliance on a girl at work who had shown some interest and some support for me, and I think I read into that an awful lot more than was really there. Again, I think it was a sign of my emotional immaturity, but that's something that I pulled away from. Well, actually, I did ask her out at one point, but I took that as she said no, and I took that as a bit of a boost that I actually had the courage to ask the question. And at that point, then I realised I wasn't ready for a relationship. And 3 years later, I'm now thinking, maybe I am ready for a relationship now, which is a hell of a step, because I thought I was going to be on my own for the rest of my life. Looking back now, every one of these mistakes taught me something and helped me progress and grow into the person I am now. So if you're in a similar place that I was, don't beat yourself up. You don't need to be perfect. Just realize where you are, take ownership of where you are, and start making progress. Small changes make a huge difference, and small changes added together compound to make a massive difference going forward. I'd love to hear from you if you are in a similar position that I was and you've made some mistakes and what you did about it. Pop them in the comments below. You never know, somebody else might see that who's been in a similar position, and it may make a huge difference for them. I've done another video about the 5 habits that helped me after the divorce and job loss, so please check that out here. I'll see you soon.